Meeting agenda. This is the 8th day of March 2023. All right, first thing, we'll have roll call. Go ahead.
Commissioner Mercer.
Here.
Commissioner Yates.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Bursong.
Here. All right, then we'll have an invocation, pledge of allegiance, presentations, none, developments of note, none, then the minutes. And then we have no first readings and consent agenda, the Lake Conine recreational elements.
So, Mr. Vice Mayor Pro Tem, I get my terminology correct this evening, and commissioners, Andy Palmer's here that can probably address this much better than I can, but
Okay.
basically what we're doing is when we went in and we've always known that this was going to be a wet site. Obviously, we're storing water on it ourselves.
Mhm.
And when we did a lot of the geotechnical work and borings, that confirmed that. So we have to do some surcharging up where eventually the improvements will be. You may recall on Chain of Lakes when we did the field house, we had to surcharge that entrance coming
Right.
up 17.
Mhm.
We have to do the same thing here to get the soils basically compacted down, that we can come back at a later point and put in the playground and the restroom structure, pavilions, those types of things. So what they're doing is breaking this project up into a couple phases, get in and do the surcharging. That's going to take about 6 to 7 months to put what's basically, trying to think here, 25,000 cubic yards of clean fill out there, press that down, and then we move forward. So this is just, some necessary geotechnical work as part of that Lake Conine project.
Okay, in fact, the area of surcharge that's outlined here,
Yes,
that's where the grass and stuff is growing that you can't really mow.
Andy, I'll let you address that. You're more familiar with the site. That's on the northern side. Mike on if you would.
That's on the northern side where it hasn't been cleared. As part of this as well, that this would be an initial clearing and grubbing of that area and then the surcharge installed. As the city manager described with the.
I'm thinking about what would be the north east side.
So it's, and you're saying that this is farther north of what has been cleared to date. This is some of the wooded area. that
Yes, this
remains.
is part of the wooded area, yes.
I'm just saying that northeast side, in fact, more from northeast to southeast. That whole layer is just looks like a retention pond. or
Yes,
something.
just south of this, so what you're saying, it looks like it appears it needs to be mowed, or you're asking if that's the area?
Yes, I'm just saying it needs to be mowed or something, unless that's going to be the area of surcharge.
No, we'll check into that.
Okay,
They do mow it. It's large machine mowing that they do that with Mayor Pro Tem, and they may be behind on that right now.
okay,
It's very possible, but we'll follow up on that.
okay. And then my other question is, so you say the surcharge is going to take about 6 months,
6 to 7.
6 to 7.
it-
So really and truly, we're looking at not even beginning to impact this project until
No,
the end of the year, the first of next year.
Yes, sir. Based on by the time the trucks, it'll take about a month to install the dirt. And then by the time we do that, it'll be about November-ish.
Okay, and one final question. You said that it was going to be done in phases. So is this considered phase 1?
What we've done is, this would be phase 1. We're calling this a surcharge phase. And in the fact sheet, we have it broken up into phase 1A and phase 1B.
Okay,
It's all the same phase, but we have some CDBG money that we are working to spend down. And that is tied to phase 1A, so we can specifically tie the CDBG money to one phase, which makes it a lot easier and more efficient to track.
okay, all right. Anybody else have a question?
I just see a playground there, so my concern would be the bugs and the mosquitoes. I mean, is that playground gonna get used often, do you think, because to me, that looks like a prime area to just brew bugs.
I would offer this, Commissioner Yates, we have playgrounds at a multitude of our lakefront parks. And typically when you're getting into the mosquito activity, it's later in the evening. When park activity is less. So during the daytime, not as much. Think about Lake Partridge Nature Park, Lake Ship Park, all those sites where we have that, so.
Do we have a mosquito truck or is that
We do
all?
not. That is all,
county?
arthropod control is all done by, Polk County. And we call that in. If there's events and we need, where we're having a problem, we can call that in and get some cooperation there, but they've got a pretty regimented schedule they spray with.
Anybody else? All right. Then the next one is the Multimodal Transportation Advisory Committee appointments. We'll
Reappointing 4 members to that, Bruce Kistler, Bob Gerner, Anita Strang, and Stuart Mackey, and then 1 new appointment, which is Allison Beeman. That group has 7 voting members, so we are still recruiting members for that, of other folks. So I just offer up to the commissioners that if you know individuals that may have some interest in multimodal, love to have some more applications for that.
All right, and then we go to the resolutions involving the water cooperative and the revolving loan fund agreement.
So on this one, Mayor Pro Tem, I think you may have actually brought this up a while back, that they are going to do 2 additional test wells in conjunction with the Southeast Wellfield project and water supply facility. This will increase the PRWC's SRF loan from 9.9 million to $13,624,440. It increases Winter Haven's share from just over about 1.1 million to 1.4 million. And that additional cost of the annual repayment will be budgeted within Winter Haven Water. Those, it's my understanding that those test wells will remain part of the project ongoing and become supply wells ultimately, so.
Yeah, hopefully the test is sufficient enough to, to actually provide the water. In fact, they started out with just 1 and they've added a second test well. I mean, that's over the term of what they've been doing. That's so. All right. The next one is for the Lake Ashton Reclaimed Water Project.
Right, this is 2318 resolution. So this has to do with extending our transmission lines out towards Lake Ashton along County Road 653 and Eloise Loop Road. This is a $910,000 appropriation through DEP. Total project cost is around $2 million. And if you look at the screen, you can see the project area. This will allow us to get reclaimed water out into the Lake Ashton area. Helps reduce some of the dependency on potable sources for their golf course operations. So this is a big win. This is part of the Heartland Headwaters funding that is coming to us as well.
Okay, and then 11C is this funding agreement for the Sapphire Necklace.
So
creation
again,
project.
these are 4, there's 4 projects within these resolutions collectively. I should have said this going into it, that are part of the Heartland Headwaters Act appropriations from last year, the $20 million that came into, I'm sorry, there's actually 5 projects, MD's telling me, that came in. We have projects in that listing along with some of the other municipalities that are part of the PRWC. So on this next one, it involves the pre-design study and some related work for what would become the Bradco Farms Sapphire Necklace project that you can see on your screen. We've talked about this on multiple occasions. We're still working through the land aspects of this, but there's $250,000 for some of the design work that was accounted for in that Heartland Headwaters Act last year.
And then 11D, the septic to sewer.
Again, this is part of what came through Heartland Headwaters. This is continuing our efforts to go from septic to sewer. This is kind of a confusing map, but AJ, if you just leave it there, go back for 1 second. You're right there. No, I'm sorry. First map. There you go. So you may recall we wrapped up the efforts in Boggy Bottom. It was very successful. This area you can see by that green circle that she's hovering over right there. So this is going to be on the kind of southeast side of Lake Partridge along US 17. You go to the next slide, AJ. And this is Again, an area that is on historically on septic, and we'll be working to convert that over to a sewer system. We have 1.5 million to come to us as part of this grant agreement. Mark Bombard, who's with us this evening, was sharing with me earlier. We had previously received some grant funding in the amount of about $1 million. Of that, about 400,000 went into the Boggy project. So there's about 600,000 balance with that as well, for a total of about 2.1 million. Collectively, to go in and do all of the infrastructure on this project is going to be around $7 million. There's, I think, 111 homes, if I'm not mistaken, that are impacted by this. What comes into play with the difference in cost between this one and Boggy, keep in mind that in the Boggy project, a lot of that infrastructure was already there. So it's a matter of just doing the tie-ins back to it. Here, that infrastructure doesn't exist. So we've got old asbestos lines we're having to change out. There's a lot more infrastructure on our side. That's why the difference. in cost.
Okay, let me ask you this, is the entire area within the city limit?
Yes.
Okay. And then, so are we planning to, from what you just said, it sounds like we're at least $1 million short?
We'll budget accordingly within our CIP, the balance of that cost for that
Okay.
project. So this is grant funds collectively, well, on this one, it's 1.5, the balance of the other grant of about 600,000. So we'll be looking for making up about 4.9 million. It'll come within the CIP.
Okay, do we have any other areas of the city that's on septic to sewer that we need to
I'll
go
let
from
Mark come
septic
forward
to
and
sewer?
address that.
This is the master plan that was developed 2 years ago by Wright Pierce.
Mhm.
All the areas that are highlighted in here between red is the most nutrient loaded, down to the green, which are areas that, aren't highly, prioritized. So we are targeting, the first area we targeted was, called 6A.
Mhm.
And it was Lake Partridge, southeast area. So we will be moving after this is completed, we'll be moving to other areas that are in the higher orange color, which is higher nutrient loading, packing the water.
So, sorry, so would that be more like right in the center of the map, that orange, or are we going more?
Well, the next one,
Because that's all county there,
that's still in the utility service area.
right?
No, the next area will probably be
Yep. This
here,
one,
up in there. We will probably move to that section.
Going west.
Which is a higher priority, has a higher ranking. Included in the ranking, we also weighted asbestos lines, tried to get our asbestos water main out of our system. We still have about 50 miles of that, so. When we were evaluating the septic sewer, we were also evaluating the asbestos water. And ranking that way. So there could be, reason that might have turned red instead of just a orange because of asbestos water main.
and you can see, Commissioner Yates, it looks like probably the next highest priority area based upon the shading, the color there would be along 21st Street between Lake Partridge and Lake Idle. Wow. So that's, headed up towards the airport there, that
Okay.
older neighborhood in there.
So the grant is for the fiscal year 22, 23.
It is coming out of the state fiscal year 23. So Heartland Headwaters appropriation would have been approved for period that the state budget that began July 1.
So that's what, so
22.
22, 23.
Yeah.
So I guess our plan is to continue to move forward with septic to sewer for all of the areas. And so will we constantly again be applying?
Whether it's through, this type of project in our commitment with PRWC is we want to push these through the PRWC. We want to be part of the Heartland Headwaters Act.
Right.
Unless the state comes up with a different avenue specifically tied to septic to sewer through some appropriation, that is, we'll continue to seek state monies through whatever sources are available.
Okay,
Those funds will start to get, increased too. If you look at some of the appropriations earlier, not necessarily through Heartland, but at a lot of the septic and sewer money has been concentrated up in the Springs area. So they're gonna be funded, and after that's funded, then we've been told that we're gonna start moving down towards Heartland and Central Florida, so more funds will become available then.
all right. Any other questions?
No, not on this specific project, but I just think as we do move out further and start working on these areas that are in the county, I hope that we just do a really strong push to try to encourage those residents to go ahead and get annexed into the city limits. And I think there's some out of the box kind of ideas of encouragement that we can put to those homeowners when that comes available. So I just think we need to really focus when we do go do projects like this and it's in the county, even though it's in our service area, we really need to try and make a deal to where we can get annexation completed of these areas.
Yes, especially if they're contiguous so that, that we can get there, so to speak. And I would think all of these areas pretty much would be, am I right? Eric?
So it's a little hit or miss in the center part, the donut, as to whether or not they're contiguous. We'd have to look specifically at the map, but
I see.
one thing that I would like to get done in the coming years that I've had a few conversations about is developing an annexation plan for the city of Winter Haven.
I have a question.
Yes,
Um,
Tracy.
In your evaluation of how you ranked them, I know you said about the asbestos, but what was the other ranking factor?
The heavy loading was the nutrient loading,
Nutrient
for the
loading?
lakes, proximity to the lakes and the nutrient loading, the nitrogen and phosphorus.
All right. 11E,
So this is 23-21. Again, a Heartland Headwaters included project from last year. This is for the initial work to create an educational space specific to water and one water components and concepts. This is anticipated to occur out in the wastewater treatment plant 3 area, as you know it today, but as you're well aware, our AWS water coming from the southeast well field and our future Pollard Road water site will also be on here. This is an educational component to teach more about one water for students and the like. $198,041 for design and permitting of this, but there would be probably an additional 2.5+ million to make that project a reality, and that will need to be budgeted within the facility CIP, and they are planning for that with their other projects in that area.
okay. Any questions?
And then the last one, 23-22, may recall, back in 2021, we purchased the 8-acre former radio station property there next to
Right.
South Lake Car Nature Park. So we were able to secure $450,000 in grant funds through the Heartland Headwaters Protection Act to create stormwater improvements on that property. This is what the site looks like today. And when you add in the additional parcel, you can see what it fills in. And then when it's completely built out with additional recreational improvements, it will have more walking trails, some educational opportunities on site. So this is really capturing the stormwater component through there and enhancing what we're already doing for the Lake Howard watershed.
What about the building? What's gonna happen with it? What is happening with it?
Let MJ respond to that.
So as part of the design build, which is the approach that we're going to use on this project, we would evaluate that building and determine, can it be repurposed? And
You
if so,
said cannot?
we would determine whether it could be or not.
Oh, okay.
Yep. We have an architectural component in the design build.
All right, thank you. I just want to say, I don't know how the rest of the commissioners feel. My eyes can't read the stuff that's on the map. I don't know if y'all can, I'm the oldest person in the room, so, my eyes are old eyes, so.
Well, I would say this, the intent is not so much the call out boxes that are on there, but more so to show where the area of improvement is. We can provide this in a much larger rendering for you on a printout that will call that out a little better.
I can read the conceptual plan.
That's all you need.
All right, new business, we have none, commissioner reports, we'll do that. City attorney report, city manager report, deputy city manager report, city clerk report, emergency matters not received for the agenda. Do we have anything tonight?
Nothing this evening, sir.
There's nothing else, motion to
I
adjourn.
will say that, just for the record, Commissioner Powell was on the Zoom call this evening.
Okay,
And I did receive from Commissioner Yates's day chair a notice that he might be a minute late getting here, so.
Yet I was a minute early.
he did good. All right, motion to adjourn. We stand adjourned, thanks.